Welcome to Stacking Stones Podcast. Hey everyone, I'm Pastor Mark. Today I'm going to share a testimony from my audiobook, Stacking Stones, which is a collection of testimonies that I've written to my children. So the testimony I'm sharing today involves my dad, inner healing, and how God revealed my part and my responsibility in receiving the healing that is provided to me. It was kind of an eye opener for me when the Lord spoke to me about it, and I hope it blesses you. If you're new to Stacking Stones podcast, we have one simple purpose, and that's to give testimony of hearing God and seeing his miracles. And if you like what we're doing here and you want to support us, click follow. We would be honored for you to support us.
Hey y'all, this next God moment testimony has to do with my dad and my understanding of salvation, forgiveness, and inner healing. I believe it was in May of 2008. I was at an advanced boot camp event up in Colorado. The camps go from Thursday to Sunday and are filled with a lot of healing, a lot of teaching, and training. Each day, participants were able to choose to go through inner healing ministry if they wanted to. I was resistant to participating in this because I was leery of what might come out. Y'all know I've survived some tough situations and painful events. On Saturday night, I went and did some inner healing work regarding my dad and some of my father wounds. I had so much unforgiveness towards my dad for so many different things. Lots of bad memories filled with deep emotions. When I was 10 years old, my dad literally came up and pulled me out of a baseball game when I was a pitcher while I was on the pitcher's mound. He pulled me out of a football league championship game when I was 13 while I was in the huddle, screaming that he would come get me out of the huddle if I didn't come out. He left me at school. He didn't pick me up. He left me in jail. He left me all over the place. There are all sorts of father wounds that I had. I was scared of him my whole childhood in many ways. He was an angry man and led by fear and violence. So I was working through father wounds on Saturday night ministry time. The ministry time was surprisingly amazing. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to forgive him and get through the things that had happened, but I did. It was pretty cool. One significant point in the ministry process included the moment when I asked God if he would give me a word for how he sees my dad. I heard the word ravaged. I knew my dad had a tumultuous upbringing. I knew he was in the military, served in the Vietnam War, and had seen some tough stuff. I knew he had nightmares and slept on his stomach in a protective posture. The word ravaged gave me a sense of what my father had endured in his life, which enabled me to have compassion towards him. It was a wonderful experience. I forgave him, I released him, I felt like the Lord healed me, and it was just so awesome. Later that night, at almost midnight, I got into my top bunk bed. I closed my eyes, ready to go to sleep. I told God, "Thank you so much for finally healing me tonight." Immediately I heard, "I already healed you." My eyes opened wide. I mean, it was dark, but I opened my eyes super wide. Stunned, I blurted out, "What?" He affirmed, "I already healed you when I saved you. It wasn't until tonight that you were willing to release your unforgiveness, anger, and vengeance toward your dad." I just burst into tears. As I cried, I processed what the Lord told me. Every bit of that is scriptural. Yes, the Bible states that we're healed by his stripes. So when we're saved, we're healed. It was hard to fathom in my mind, but he was right. I'd been saved for over a decade. I mean, it wasn't until that night I finally decided to release my dad, to confess my unforgiveness, to release my dad and pray blessings over him. Wow, that was super cool that God healed me and my heart when I was saved. But I finally chose to receive the healing 13 years later. What a lesson. It was huge. I just laid in bed and cried myself to sleep that night at the tender age of 42. I just wanted to share that testimony with y'all because we are all saved. Yet there may be something that you're holding on to, either towards me or mom, or towards an old friend or someone that's hurt you. I hope that you'll be willing to release any person of your unforgiveness, of any vengeance, of any recourse that you have towards them, and that you'll be able to receive the fullness of God's healing in your life as soon as you possibly can, and not wait decades into your 40s as I did. My prayer for you: I pray and ask you to forgive me for the pain and heartache I've caused you. I am flawed and broken. I had bad dad moments in your life for sure. I pray you will draw close to the Lord so that you may release unforgiveness, anger, and vengeance against anyone in your life. I pray you will get to walk in the fullness of God's peace and joy by releasing anyone who has hurt you.
If you would like to give a testimony of hearing God or seeing a miracle, we would love to hear from you. We invite you to pray and ask the Lord if this is a time for you to share that testimony. And if it is, we would love to hear from you. Please email us. Our email is info@stackingstones.life. info@stackingstones.life. We just pray that the testimony of Jesus will encourage you to pursue him even more. God bless you.